That is why they are so fervent. TV with your host, Jeff Charles.
Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
Hello and welcome to Right On, where we tackle the issues of the day from the right perspective. Representative Matt Gaetz put forth a bill that would do away with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, otherwise known as the ATF. The agency has had a history of controversy, and many on the right have called for its abolition. But are Republicans actually serious about ending the agency this time? I have with me Jim Fight, Liberty Nation's editor-at-large, to dive into this. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Awesome. So let's dive on in. You wrote an article about this for LibertyNation.com, and Representative Gaetz did introduce that measure that would get rid of the ATF. What are some of the issues with the ATF that would require it to be removed?
Well, so there's the obvious issue that Gaetz points to, and you can kind of consider that the top level of the problem, if you will. But for those who are true lovers of liberty, there's a deeper problem, of which this issue that Gaetz points out is really just a symptom. So bear with me here on this one. It might be just a little bit as we dig through this here, Jeff. Let's start with looking at why the ATF exists. So ostensibly, this law enforcement agency under the authority of the DOJ, a department of the executive branch, can only be justified. It only exists as a law enforcement agency, meaning that it enforces the laws that are made by Congress, signed by the president, and if necessary, interpreted by the courts. It does not have the legislative authority to make its own laws, and it does not have the judicial authority to interpret law and rule upon the constitutionality of it. But what we're seeing in reality is, especially here lately under the Biden administration, is the ATF specifically, thanks to the kind of vague nature of the wording of the National Firearms Act of 1934, which is the nation's first successful federal gun control law, they're using this to issue what they call clarifications of terms in that law that, they're saying, oh, we're just clarifying the law and issuing a ruling for the agency. But in reality, what they're doing is they're redefining the terms, redefining firearm, redefining silencers and suppressors and et cetera. And so the issue, when people see this and they think, oh, that's an overreach, what that's based on is the idea that or more specifically, the Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland are overreaching that executive power to basically take the job from the courts by reinterpreting the law. So that's kind of the top level. That's the easy to attack issue.
Now, is that what they're doing with this whole pistol brace thing? Is that how that relates? That
is exactly what the pistol brace issue thing is. Mm-hmm. So for people who maybe haven't really followed this whole pistol brace saga, that's exactly what it is. It's a saga. This is an ongoing thing. There have been some pistol braces that have been approved to use with pistols and not be considered like a butt stock, so it wouldn't make it this new item called a short-barreled rifle, which is separately regulated from pistols and regular length rifles. And so when the ATF says, yep, you can have pistol braces, so then not everybody, but lots of people go out and they buy pistol braces. Well, now that we have this new ruling, oh, you know what? Because a pistol brace could be shouldered and used as a butt stock, now we're going to say it's effectively a butt stock. Like if it's the kind that you could put up against your shoulder and fire, it's a butt stock, and now you have a short-barreled rifle. Well, that's effectively changing the law on this item in a sense, and this isn't like a minor thing. I mean, if you have this and you don't now jump through whatever number of pick one of the numerous options they give you, now you're a felon. Subject to felony prosecutions. Like, that's a major life-altering thing here.
Yeah. Now, I was under the impression that pistol braces were mainly used.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was under the impression that pistol braces were mainly used for people who might have a disability. Here's the question. How many homicides are committed each year by a guy using a pistol brace? How many lives would this whole thing save?
All right. So there's kind of two questions there, right? Like how many homicides are used or are committed rather using the pistol brace? I don't have the answer to that because pistol braces, when we're seeing like these mass shootings or random, what we don't see in the news, which is the, thousands of homicides across the nation throughout the year that aren't mass shootings. We don't have that information. And it's not in the news feed, so we don't see it. But there have been two fairly high profile mass shootings. You had the shooting outside the club in Dayton, Ohio in was it 2019 or 2020? And then you had the Boulder, Colorado supermarket shooting in 2021 in March. That those guys, the news stories say that guns were found that had pistol braces attached to them. So not even necessarily that they were used in the shootings. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But when firearms were recovered, there were pistol braces as well. Yeah. So I think the way that was put forth by most of the media was pistol braces were implemented in the shootings. Yeah. So the separate question from that is how many lives will we save by banning pistol braces? And my estimate, Jeff, is 0. And here's why. Even if pistol braces were being used in, let's say pistol braces were used in every mass shooting, just to throw out a completely BS hypothetical that absolutely is not true for anyone just now tuning in. Yeah. But let's say, just for argument's sake, a pistol brace was used every time someone murdered someone with an AR pistol, so something shorter than rifle length. What a pistol brace does, whether you're disabled or not, and yes, to kind of jump back to that, the initial sort of the original intent of the pistol brace was to make it so that disabled veterans could fire these weapons. But like a lot of things, it kind of hit the mainstream, and now anybody that wants them has them, disabilities or not. But what this does is this gives you one more point of contact with the firearm, which increases the accuracy. All right. So at first flush, you might hear that and go, oh, so this would make it easier to murder someone. And in a sense, yes, but these mass shootings typically aren't individuals targeted, right? We're talking about somebody shooting into a crowd.
Right.
So if someone were to say, hey, I'm going to go shoot this person, right? Anything that increases the accuracy of that firearm makes it more likely that one person is going to get hit. But what about all the other people around them?
Right.
This is sort of the issue that we had with the bump stock, for example. It's the exact opposite of that same issue. Yeah, it makes it shoot faster, but you have less accuracy. Well, this guy shooting into a crowded concert, he didn't care about accuracy.
Yeah, because if people were in a crowd,
there were pistol braces on some gun that was used in a mass shooting has really nothing to do with the shooting itself.
Here's the last question. Now, let's talk about Republicans. Now, sure. Matt Gaetz did introduce this measure. House Republicans also introduced a measure that would abolish the IRS. Now, anybody who's looking at this knows that these bills are not going to pass through the Senate. And even if they did, there's no way President Joe Biden would ever sign off on them. Are Republicans actually serious about eliminating these agencies? I mean, why didn't they push for this when they had control of the White House and Congress?
Yeah, I don't. I hesitate to go ascribing motives to other people, but it's hard for me to buy that. It's hard for me to buy that this is a real thing. Like they're like, oh, we're really trying to do this. No, I don't think that most Republican politicians want to shrink the government, generally speaking. I don't think that most of them, and I put emphasis on most because I think that absolutely some do. Like if Rand Paul had said, hey, let's abolish, like if he was the one that introduced the bill to abolish the IRS or introduced the bill to abolish the ATF, then I would go, okay, well, he probably really means it. But he's always preaching about shrinking the size of the government and balancing the budget. And even when the rest of his party are like, bah, but no, there was no, I even specifically looked for a abolish the ATF bill in 2018. Couldn't find one. But he also knows this is the safe battle, right? Like he can appear to be fighting on this hill, but this is a hill he knows he's not going to die on. He doesn't have to.
Gotcha. Well, maybe there will come a time where somebody in Congress actually wants to take action on these things. But with the whole debate over the ATF, that's going to continue most likely as the war over guns continues, and we will be keeping an eye on it. Thank you for joining the program, Mr. Fight.
Appreciate you having me on, Jeff.
And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thank you so much for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, where truth is making a comeback.
Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. Produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone. Hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner. Joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors. Deconstructing leftist narratives. Debating the hot topics. And remembering to laugh.
You heard it here first.
Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.
That is why they are so fervent. TV with your host, Jeff Charles.
Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.